Dun 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 dun. In the Garden of Eden.
In the Garden of Eden.
In the Garden of Eden, but we like, you know how.
That's right. Dude, you and I.
What's up, Michael?
Yeah.
I wanted to go back in memory lane.
Hello.
Can we take a minute for memory something? Do you remember commercials used to
play?
Well, yes. Yeah, like commercials would play a compilation album. Like you'd have to buy all these albums to get these great songs. And they used to play that. Remember that? Like it'd be a list of all the songs, and it would be just an excerpt of like Janis Joplin and all. And do you know how? I remember that was how I could remember so many band names as a kid growing up. You'd watch the commercials, and you would, you would see. And since digital worlds came out, but that was one of the commercials for like classic hits, and it was one of the songs they would play, circa 1991, and it would. But anyway, so fun memories.
You're having a flashback.
Right. I know. I too much of that stuff. When you crack your back just the right way, all of a sudden you start seeing things. You're like, man, I shouldn't have been hanging around those college folks like that.
I have to interject before we get started. I have to kind of commandeer the direction of this episode real quick, because I'll be updating you simultaneously. I owe it to our audience here, because I was just doing Bible every morning, which I do immediately prior to this every morning, Bible every morning on Christian Podcast Central. And I was about to update them on something when my phone rang. It was my car insurance company, and I had to
your warranty company. Your warranty has ran out. You need to.
No. So here's the update. Sunday night, my son totaled the car. Totaled it, and he is fine, thank God.
Okay.
Right. And so car is totaled, and that kind of thing is a major paradigm shift in a household, right? We had 3 cars. We have four drivers in our house, and we had 3 cars. Now we have 2 cars, and he's 18. And so he is safe. Hallelujah. And now it's an adjustment period, and there's a bunch of changes that have to happen, but I also have to deal with the insurance company. Thank God I had full coverage and all that. And so when the insurance company's finally calling me back, I didn't talk to them at all yesterday, I had to answer. So there's the update for everybody.
So now that he's safe, what kind of vehicle was it?
It was a Honda Civic.
If it was something special, like like a 72 Ford truck, or
right.
something real useful, I'd be oh no.
Yes, this would be a sad day.
A Ferrari, don't you have a Lambo? I mean, everybody says that. I'm wondering, can you confirm whether or not you own a Lambo? Yes or no?
I do not. It used to be my favorite car. I'm like, God, I want one of those one day. But it was of our 3 vehicles, it was our newest one. So I mean, it was 2017. Not that it was.
I've got a really cheap DeLorean I'll sell you. Yeah. It's kind of neat. It's actually, I've got a brand new fuel pump, and I put new brake hoses on it. So, and if you get to 88 miles per hour, Bill and Ted will come in and hang out with you.
You're mixing all these stories. But you reminded me, DeLorean, John DeLorean. I was a juror in a trial in the courtroom of the judge who tried John DeLorean. So I've come this close to the judge who convicted DeLorean of, what was it, cocaine or something? The guy who invented
it was the 80s, man. You know what I mean? Come on. We had Michael McDonald from the Doobie Brothers, Remember that song he used to sing where it was like, if I could make it to Mexico? Remember that song?
No, I don't know that one.
Oh, but you know who the Doobie Brothers are.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I do know the song, but it was just your singing that didn't help.
My singing is not good. No, it's bad. It's almost like a Joe Biden presidency. If I sing, all of a sudden, you've got protection from media agencies coming out the wazoo. Yeah. But,
okay, let's get to the topic.
Yeah, we're gonna get to the topic. I want to thank everybody for coming in. Carrie Eureka, thank you so much. Lucas Seago, thank you so much. Jacqueline Edwards, I would click everything, but we're doing this fast. We run out of Bonnie. I click Bonnie because she's mama. She gets preferential treatment. Chloe Jasper, thank you for coming in. A bunch of awesome people, man. We've got a great comment section today, so I'm gonna do my best to keep up with it. Chris Bounds, yeah, rock and roll. So this is a pivotal moment in history. What? And this is not happened in 150 years. Nobody has actually been impeached under that cabinet position before. So this is some history writing stuff, you know. I'll throw the article up just so we can, so everyone can see. It's a real slim majority. Do you know anything about Steve Scalise and some of the controversy that happened to him a long time ago? Can you remember that?
Well, I know he was shot and almost killed at the softball game by a Bernie Sanders supporter.
Which is funny is Bernie Sanders was one of the people who voted against the $95 billion Go to Heck America bill, and then Senator John Kennedy voted for it. Isn't that wild? So I'll read I also have a video I want to show you that kind of like, I don't want to take the steam out of the wind, but I want people to be aware of something. We're going to play that here in a second. And I played it a while back, but this is real stuff. So DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas.
And this is the second, right? The first one didn't go through because somebody was sick or something. I don't.
There was people that Steve Scalise was one of them that just happened to not be there. It's like, this is one of the most important votes in the world. Why are you not here? I was like, what's up with some of the people who just didn't show up? It'd been like, well, I was changing my oil. It's like, dude, this is way more important. But anyways, the 2014 to 2013 vote broken by Steve Scalise, who's like survived that. Kind of like it would. I would have to say it was a mass. I don't want to say certain words. It was a mass thing, and
that was the goal. It was supposed to be a mass event, right? And by the grace of God, the Secret Service was there to stop that dude.
Yeah. So we this is a win, but let me show you something that was talked about amongst some of the Fox News people, and you may have seen this video before, but I want to
Fox News. What is Fox News? I honestly have literally, when they fired Tucker, I stopped watching them. Like even though I love like Great Seinfeld still, and it's like I took the app off my phone and everything.
Yeah, and I think that I support that 100%. I support that 100%. So like. The thing is like, luckily, thank goodness, pops up in my Twitter's feed. But this was talked about last week. Let me play the article, and we've seen this happen many times with other congressional members that have been either voted out or removed for whatever reason. They seem to put somebody in worser, which is not a word, but
to get rid of him. And let me remind you, when behind closed doors we told him, "You're getting ready to be impeached," he said, "You're not going to like who comes."
And by the way, like I say, I confirm this is a few weeks old. This isn't new, but this is something to watch.
Next, I asked him if that was a threat. He just smiled. This man is dangerous. He knows exactly what he's doing, and he is two-faced. We need to get rid of him now.
What did he mean? Who comes next?
Well, that was the big question. I asked him, I said, "Is that a threat?" And he just smiled. And I thought, this man knows exactly what he's doing. This is 100% by design. They want an open border crisis, whether it is for a election, whether it's...
Okay. Did you hear the audio cut out for a second? Like, it's not, that wasn't the internet.
He knows exactly what he's doing. This is 100% by design. They want an open border crisis, whether it is for a election, whether it's for future votes.
So she's talking about, we don't know why you're allowing this to happen. And I'm not going to say what she said because obviously it's a trigger word, but it's something to do with our choosing process. And we have heard other
election. She said,
Okay, you said it. I didn't. But anyway, so
word election. That's not trigger word election.
Man, and when it comes out of my mouth, it's just somehow or another a thing that they just hate. They're like, "Oh, that guy with the mohawk said it." Yeah.
Well, that's what the AI has done. It's combining your image and the tonal quality of your voice and specific words. So when you say the word election, it's deletable, right?
Yeah. I'm being repressed by my hairdo and my different experiences in life that makes me who I am. That's not understood by the other people. But anyhow, we have seen other instances where congressional members have said, that let me see if I can we get bigger? Is it yes,
Yes,
there we
yeah.
go.
I was
I'm
enjoying the
learning this
flag,
thing.
but this is my preferred. Yeah.
Yeah, yes. I like that's why we got a different background, but the flag this is a representation of our freedom and liberties, and we need to promote that as much as possible.
Amen.
So the we heard other people from Congress saying, "Oh yeah, bring them on in," because we can use these people even if they can't cast their voice. I'm using certain words because of my thing. We'll just use them for numbers for demographics, so we can get certain added seats and more representation. Because our census shows where we need that. We've got all these people living here. We can redraw lines, and then eventually, when you get the right, could you imagine, like, take for instance the Ilhan Omar sector of her district, where they've actually seems like they've strategically all of her people conglomerated in one area, outnumbering people that lived there originally, and then created a situation where they can pass laws where those people can cast their voices. And that's what the design is. They won't get the exact casting of the voices right away, but they'll get the people in there. They'll move the numbers around. Then we'll make some stuff legal. And, we heard Dick Durbin. What up? Richard Durbin. He said, bring them on in, put them in the military, give them all citizenship, which, under the right settings, that's actually not a bad thing, except for the fact that the military, and I'm not taking away from anybody that's in the military because your heart's in the right place for the ones that are in the right place, but some of these people are being led by pretty woke military leaders who have a certain agenda at hand. And so that means, will they actually promote America's value? Would they ask these people to do bad things to other people that's not constitutional under the guise of, restructuring our society? In other words, so when you put all these people in who have no ties to the American, culture, it's real easy to want to have something and say, well, as long as we take these people out because they told us to, that gives us an opportunity to exist here. And so we'll do that at all costs because, that's something I fear mostly. And I don't know. But so what do you think, on your opinion, will we get a better border guy, or are we going to have our border person? I don't care who it is. It doesn't have to be a guy. It could be just a person. We're going to get a better one of those, or what? How's this going to roll out?
Well, there are a lot of thresholds to cross before we get to that point, right? So this was the House voting by the slimmest possible majority to impeach, and we've gotten kind of a bit of an education. I mean, at least the conservatives, people on the correct side of issues, we've got a bit of an education on what impeachment entails, because Trump was quote unquote impeached, right? He was impeached, but an impeachment isn't a conviction, right? It's like an indictment, right? You're indicted, and then it has to go on trial. And so it starts in the House of Representatives, the impeachment, but then it goes to the Senate, and it's not a conviction until the Senate passes it, or whatever whatever it's called, whatever the procedure is called in the Senate. So it goes from the House. So he's been impeached, right? Forever. That'll be on him. Mayorkas, the first, cabinet member in 150 years to be impeached. Okay, that's a win, at least in the narrative, in the public square. But the actual conviction is how he could be removed. So if he's not convicted in the Senate, he's not going anywhere, right? If he is convicted in the Senate, we have an administration that who knows who is in charge, right? And who knows who is next in line. So I have no idea, right? There's my answer. I have no idea what's coming, but I do want to comment a little bit about the border issue. There's these, record numbers, and even in the beginning of this year, right? Last year was 3-point-something million illegals, right? 3-point-something million in 1 year.
I think it's more than that, but anyhow,
right? The low estimate, the one they'll cop to. I mean, that's the number they'll agree to. It's like, that's still astronomical, right? It's record setting. Well, we're only 2 months or a month and a half into the 2024, and we're already almost at 1 million, right? It's like it's multiplied, it's accelerated in this last, this is the last year of this administration, God willing, right? And so it's ramping up. And so it's uh, part partly it's an organic thing, right? As people around the world see more and more people are able to get into the United States, word spreads, and more people out there are like, well, there's only 1 year left of this open border if Trump wins. And so they're going to accelerate and try and, it's like, let's not sit on our, rest on our laurels. Let's get in there while we can.
Yeah.
But we're at capacity. We're beyond capacity. The sanctuary cities are all at capacity and beyond capacity, and asking
You're not gonna let some
private
live with you, are
citizens
you?
to host. Right? It's like, we got a spare room. It's like people letting. All right, let's not. That's a tangent.
No, deviate. Yeah.
The the numbers as far as the election, right? You can't say the word, but I'll say it. Right? My focus is off. So it's all about the election year, and there's all these numbers pouring in. And in 2020, we had record-setting numbers. We had 81 million people vote for the president of the United States, for Joe Biden, right? And then we had like 73 million, and that was record-setting, right? Donald Trump got more votes in history than any other president, incumbent or not. He got more votes in history. Well, Joe Biden got more than him. Like, okay, that on its face is the mind-boggling thing. So obviously, what was different? It was vote from home, right? It was the pandemic. That's what was different. Was it the get out the vote of the Democrats was that much better than the get out the vote of the Republicans? Like, this is a 7 million vote gap. It's like astronomical. It's hard to fathom, yet it's swept under the rug. Are we about to face 100 million votes for Joe Biden, and 90 million? Like, are we going to face something like that? I don't think so. I think the numbers now are tilted in the right direction so far that even with, again, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm an optimist, and I believe it's beyond the threshold of cheating, right? I think the numbers are, because people have woken up. You've had 3 years so far. You got another year of insanity. You've got Joe Biden collapsing before our eyes, and nobody else that's up as a potential replacement can beat Trump, right? Right now, the polling is right. So it comes down to, right, the things that everybody's talking about in the comment section. It comes down to those efforts. Now that everybody's laser focused on that, I just don't see how the cheating can overcome the organic masses. Like people are seeing people being red pilled. People are every day there are far more Democrats going independent, or independents and Democrats going Republican. Every day, far more than the other way around. There's always it's at least 2 to 1. So that the left is shrinking every day and the right is increasing. So I'm an optimist, but we do have some insane people at the levers of power. So I don't know if that's satisfying or helpful. I can't make a prediction, but they're going to try. They're going to try. They're going to try. We're going to see some ugly stuff.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that I wouldn't put it past me if they could figure out a way to suspend that process at some point, because we've got a year for something to pop off, and I hope that doesn't happen, because, in certain areas of other places where we're having conflict that we shouldn't be, they've suspended the E words, and because of the fact, if somebody else gets in, this all ends. Recently, there was talk about certain areas of conflict that starts with a U and ends with an A.
With a in the middle.
Yeah, you're right. And so, like, there was peace talks once again here recently, and the Biden administration shot that down once again. And I know that whenever Tucker Carlson interviewed Putin, that there was some information that wasn't accurate that Putin talked about religious freedoms and all that. And so that the whole interview, and when they said, well, why didn't Tucker, push back against Putin? Because I think that the reason why I think he did is because basically he wanted to be there just to listen. And if anybody knows their facts, then they can decipher on their own. Because if you start, pushing back at somebody, then Putin's going to think that you're just one of the mainstream hacks, and he's going to shut down completely. And he did make quite a good point about the whole situation with, don't you think you've got something better to do except for instead of worry about what's happening in the ends with an aim? He said, you've got a problem at your border that's going to change your country dramatically. Dramatically? We'll use that word.
Hey, it's George W. Bush.
Yeah, I know, right? Hey, somebody throw a shoe at me real quick. Do you remember when they got a shoe thrown?
I got to write this down. Dramatically.
Dramatically. I just make up words as I go here, At least that's one thing I can do better than Biden. I might flub it, but the words can be used.
I've got a William Archibald. William Archibald.
I remember when you did this once before. You made up a word. That was a list of things. But I see, what was it? Bush Jr. What? And that's another thing.
Happy Valentine's Day, by the way.
He says I've met all these leaders because he's been in power for so long. Whether that's a good thing or not, I'm not judging on that but it's not.
I'm glad you're going there. I have some things I want to say about that.
Oh, great! Yeah, he just talks about meeting these other world leaders and or presidents and all, and without saying Biden's got problems as far as cognitively, he said he says the reason why I don't try to reach out too much to the Biden regime is because I'm not dealing with him. It's somebody else. He without saying who, but he says somebody else that seems to be pulling some of the strings. Now go ahead and with your thought there on that.
Okay, so I need to watch it again. Hey, Hammer Time! I see Hammer Time in here. I haven't seen Hammer Time in a while.
I got my puffy pants on right now.
All right.
Don't get into horse racing. Stay away from horse racing. It will break you.
Yeah, you'll have to go on like Celebrity Big Brother or something to try and make a buck. All right, sorry. Right. So the seminal moment, right? That Tucker Carlson just proved to the world he's bigger than Fox, right? He's bigger than Fox. He was there, like he is a force to be reckoned with. He's just a journalist, right?
Yeah.
Hi, AC Cruz. So watching that interview, I need to watch it again. I'll probably watch it 3 times at least.
It took me 3 times to get it all processed. I did. I had to,
Yeah. So keep in mind, I've been hanging out with historians for the last 7 years, right? This project that I'm working on back here, right? This is like Russia is right there, right? This is Armenia. If you see where I am on the map here, this is Armenia. This is Turkey. This is Iran and Syria and Lebanon, right? So I've been talking about this part of the world. Ukraine is right over here. Like it's right over here.
Most people that where is Ukraine at?
Right. This is Turkey that you see, but above that's the Black Sea, and Ukraine is like right up here. So my character actually went up through Russia. He's traveled through this area. All right. So I've been dealing with historians talking about history about 100 years ago, right? Here we have Putin talking about history 1100, 1200, 1300 years ago. And I've also been researching it because the history of this region, Armenia in particular, goes back that far. And I'm listening to him and I'm going, I am actually learning because this guy knows what he's talking about. And everybody complains or they mock that Putin went on a half an hour history lesson. I'm like, I was riveted because this guy sitting there without notes, without a teleprompter, without somebody in his ear he knows his, he knows his stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this guy has, the people say, he has a 85% approval rating. And people say, well, that's because he's a former KGB agent and everybody's afraid. I'm like, actually, life in Russia is really good for them right now. And when life is going well, you get a good approval rating. Like all these sanctions and stuff just proved that the Russian economy is resilient, right? They're not in trouble at all. They have every natural resource they need within their own territory. So they weren't hurt at all. Our economy has been hurt by this. And so people love him. And when you have a leader like that, that's been in power for 24 years or something like that.
23, I think. 23, 24.
You have this consistency, continuity, and the guy has grown and changed and learned, and he's realized that the world stage in the United States have a very different way of doing things when he's saying,
hey, it don't work anymore.
Yeah, it's like I asked Bill Clinton if we could get into NATO, right? Would they let Russia into NATO? And Bill Clinton's like, I don't see why not. And then Bill Clinton goes back to the real boss, whoever
Exactly.
that was, right? So
Yes.
that was
Right.
the eye opener. Like from Putin's point of view, he's talking about Bush, he's talking about Clinton. He's had personal interaction with these world leaders that we've got this rotation, and the American system is great when it works the way it's supposed to work. But to get that insight from a world leader, from a guy who knows his history, it was like such a contrast between that world leader and our world leader, right? Our world leader. It's like, yikes, we have no idea who's calling the shots. At least over there, they know who's calling the shots. And here's a point that Tucker made, not in that interview, but the immediate follow-up interview. He was in Dubai and he was being interviewed. And he made the point, I think it was that interview, all world leaders kill people. Right. So to focus in on Putin and the evil things that happen there, right? All world leaders kill people. It's just part of the job, right? You give an order and somebody dies, and justified or not, right? We have to get over the fact that just killing people, period, is wrong. No, there are just reasons to kill people. And I'm not justifying any of it. You have to boil
that's a
down
whole other
each
video there, but
case.
Yeah.
But to be the reason that you don't like Putin, it's like you are woefully ignorant about world affairs, right? And what was the question?
We kind of got off on the fact that it has to do with our borders, securing the borders, and that's a good you keeping me up in here. Our borders are open. And we're trying to secure a border in another place that starts with a U and ends with an A that has nothing to do with us, except for it seems to be that they're protecting this place for some weird reason, because it seems to be more than just trying to protect you, Ain.
Yep. All right. So
and he says, "Why are you doing that?" He knows why. Because
he
I
does.
remember when this all went down. I remember
he said to Tucker, you need to ask your president. Right? Tucker's asking him point blank these hard questions. Why do you think this is happening? And about Biden, blah, blah, blah. And Putin's like, oh, well, ask your own president yourself. He's your president. I'm like, oh, yeah, you're not going to get the truth out of him. This thing over in Ukraine is absolutely not about protecting borders. It's about protecting somebody's ASS,
special
right?
interest.
Right. They've got some vested interests over there. They've got corruption at the highest level. Russian oligarchs in Ukraine, right? There are Russians in Ukraine that are corrupt, right? And Ukrainians in Ukraine that are corrupt, and Americans in Ukraine that are corrupt. And I'm not absolving Russia of any evil they've done, right? We also have to put that caveat. But this fixation on Ukraine, I love the history he outlined of Ukraine. And the way, for me personally, it registered was the reason Putin went back so far in history is to show people that what borders mean, and which countries actually have ancient histories and claims to land and which ones don't. And Ukraine was created by Stalin, right? The borders of Ukraine were created by Stalin, just like the borders of, Azerbaijan, Georgia, right? These were just Stalin's like, I'm going to draw these lines. And some of the lines that were drawn were across ethnic barriers. For example, just before the Hamas invasion in October 7th, 2 weeks before that, Azerbaijan eradicated 100,000 Armenians from ancient Armenian land. But because Stalin drew the line around it, so that the Armenians were included in Azerbaijan, they're like, oh, this is our land. But it was 4,000-year-old Armenian land that 2 weeks before Hamas attacked, Azerbaijan attacked and removed. And so that's the same deal, the same border issues in Ukraine. You've got historically Russian territories that Stalin carved out for Ukraine, right? This is much older than, Crimea in 2014. This is hundreds and hundreds of years of history that Stalin, we're still feeling the effects of that evil dictator Stalin today.
So basically, to take this all down, I know we're talking about the impeachment of Mayorkas, and we're somehow or another we got on the thing with Putin, because it all ties into border security.
Yep.
and everything. What Putin's main point is there was people that were trying to encroach on outskirts of land, which the Ukrainian word comes from, and trying to indoctrinate people to start. In other words, if you start a movement like that, then you start breaking up the country. You start moving further and further in. And there was a point where they had to put a stop and a pushback to that. And he tried to get in NATO to try to to stop this, to be, so everybody could get along. He was pushed back and given, like they call it, the gaslight. He realizes this, and then he, through verbal agreements, because the actual signed agreements mean nothing anyways. Even if they signed papers, they were still encroaching and moving in. The verbal agreements weren't heard at all, which pretty much, said, okay, well, then we're just going to have to start pushing back. He said, I could have went in there a lot harder, a lot more forceful, but I'm just trying to get the lines drawn back, and nobody wants to work with me. Yep. And he says, I can't have. I know we're running out of time, but we need an hour, Michael.
Right. We do.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah.
We'll schedule one. And next week I'll go into work late. All right. I got to go.
Yeah. Okay. Well, a special thanks to everybody for coming in. We've got wonderful subscribers and commenters that here every day, and it's a great honor. It makes me feel really good deep down inside. And when I do that, it makes me be able to get a great message out to help save the country. And Michael, you're a great man. You do a lot of work for us. And we just appreciate you and everybody else out there. So please hit that like, subscribe, and share this on your Twitters, share this on your Facebook, so we can grow this channel. And we will see you guys same time. Well, Michael and we do this once a month, kind of like a redheaded stepchild, but just in a good one, by the way.
We'll be back.
And yeah, we'll be back. And then I'll see you guys tomorrow at same time next week. So thank you so much, and I appreciate
Love you,
everybody.
William.
Yep. See you later, Michael.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.